it's going. It's going. Okay, and for... Nope, it's... Why the heck is it... Okay, I'm gonna have to finagle a few things. There, I think that fixed it. I'm pretty sure... Okay, yeah, now it's not stuttering. That's weird. For some reason, OBS keeps just stuttering the nondescript fireplace thing. But only if I have it, like, not on my monitor. I'm doing great at words today. Oh, this is gonna be eventful. Okay. Oh, I knew I forgot something.
It's not easy.
Crap. What? Oh, the background music. Okay. It tried to do an ad and well, that didn't quite work. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do some last minute stuff that I realize now I completely forgot to do. Okay. We can... Don't need that. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Okay. Let's disable that for now. Okay. I'm a professional. Or something. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Alright. I'm just gonna kind of piddle around, see if a couple folks are able to hop in, you know. Not gonna wait too long. Hi, Lily. Hi. You're demanding attention again, little one? Well, at least I'm not playing a game this time for you to interrupt. Oh, there you are. Hi. Hi, what are you doing? What are you doing, you little goofball? Yeah. Okay. Are you can hop in. Okay. Hi. Alright, you know what? You gotta keep demanding attention. Lily, you are... Sweetheart, this is going great. There. Okay. Off to a great start, huh? Is hi, sweetie. Hi. Yeah, I love you too. One of these years I'll get like a little something made for Lily so when she appears I could just toggle her on. And there'll just be a sudden cat on the screen. Hi. Hi. Most affectionate cat I have ever seen. She doesn't ask for attention, she demands it. Yes, you do, my little goober. Alright, so... I know this isn't my usual content. This isn't what, you know... I've done little, like, blurbs, reading articles and whatnot, but... This is more of just an honest talk. So... Honestly, some of the stuff isn't exactly the easiest to talk about, but I want to kind of lay it all out there. Oh, the fire just stuttered again. So, because I know a few of you folks have expressed concern about my own, like, my health, which I appreciate. I want to make that abundantly clear. I appreciate the concern. It's nice to feel like I matter. Yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of that for a large portion of my life. It's a sensation I'm getting better at, or at accepting, but it still feels kinda new. I have had some really garbage people in my life. So, that said, I actually have to better explain what all has been going on, what has gone on before I even started streaming, etc., etc. I've actually got a couple of health issues. Two of them are actually well managed right now. The third is the problem one. First one, I have sleep apnea. Not the kind that you see for like some of these morbidly obese people where they lay down and their fat practically strangles them. No, I actually got mine back in, I want to say 2017? So close to a decade ago now. Oh, I hate saying that. I feel old. Anyways, yeah, so turns out I have sleep apnea. I found that out because, well, at first we thought I had narcolepsy because I was just suddenly falling asleep at random, even in the middle of work. Yeah, that was not a fun day. That was not a fun day to suddenly be told, hey, Malum, you okay? I don't know. But thankfully, obviously, it's not narcolepsy. Got sent to a sleep doctor, or a sleep study, whatever. Turned out, I was being snapped out of my sleep once at little under every 2 minutes. So, turned out it was just exhaustion from not actually sleeping or not resting while I was asleep. So, yeah, I get the machine. I've definitely put on some pounds since then. When I got it, I was somewhere between 180 to 200 pounds, which I know that especially the 200 sounds like a lot. I am not a small man. I the more I'm losing weight, the more I'm getting the Johnny Bravo build. I'm starting to look like a Dorito. But yeah, well, Johnny Bravo with noticeably much less muscular arms. I'm working on it, but it's a process. So that's part of why I get tired a lot is just, having to sleep with a stupid mask on, cramming air down my nostrils. Yeah, I've mostly gotten used to it, but the other thing, which ties into the main health issue, is something called Raynaud's disorder. I'm trying to multitask. Sorry. I am not multitasking well. One second. I don't mind. There. So I can pin that, manually unpin. Yeah. One of many things I forgot at the start of stream. Sorry again. But it's called Raynaud's disorder. It's relatively common. It's an autoimmune condition, not a major one, at least not in my case, that it causes your blood vessels to contract and expand depending on like the temperature, and it's usually only for a short bit. So what it is, when my hands or my feet start getting really cold, the blood vessels will contract, and like my fingers and my toes will quite literally turn purple and start turning blue, and then the blood vessels release, and suddenly my hands and feet are bright red because of all the blood rushing to them. And so it gets that weird heat, that kind of like almost prickly feeling. Not the like numb tingling, just that really annoying point of being hot. so everything feels like you're being pricked a bunch. It's not super bad in my case. The worst it gets, because again it is an autoimmune problem, is when I'm sick. I have a much I have for all the jokes people make about the man flu, it actually gets bad for me because the Raynaud's get just spikes up to 11 and causes extreme painful sensitivity to cold. Like touching a metal faucet hurts. And I will feel that it'll feel like I'm still gripping that like sink handle for I think the longest I've had it was like somewhere a half hour, 45 minutes. It still felt like I was grabbing it. It's really weird. I wish I knew of a better way to explain it, but that's the best I've got. It's annoying. And worse than that is it also makes me hypersensitive to pain, which wouldn't be a big problem normally, for normal people, because you just have to avoid, stubbing your toe on the end table or, stuff like that. But when your spine feels like someone's got a power drill and is just going at it, it makes it a lot worse. So when I get sick, it's bad. It's not even the illness that takes me out, it's the just raw pain. So that's the second thing. That's why I sometimes make some of the little minor complaints that I do. But the big issue is my spine. Currently, my rheumatologist and I believe it to be something called stiff man syndrome. Stiff man syndrome is a fairly recently, well, I'm sorry, stiff person syndrome. I gotta be politically correct. No, I don't care. I'm gonna call it stiff man. Uh, there's not a difference between the two. Just FYI. But what it is it was, from my understanding, only discovered in like the last 5 or 6 years. It's a rare medical condition that causes your immune system to attack localized areas of your nervous system. So basically, whatever part of your body happens to be attacked by it, your body will be in a constant cycle of repairing and destroying your nerves, which means it doesn't show up on things like nerve conduction tests. I pray I never have to get another one of those. Those are so painful. But, anyways, uh, so for a lot of people, it can be like in your arm, your legs, basically anywhere, from what they know. Unfortunately for me, it seems to be located specifically in my spine. Around the L2, L1, or was it the L1, L2, or the L2, L3? I think it was the L1, L2. Anyways, okay, let's here. I will let me move me. I know I'm having to do a pirate software. I'm so sorry. I've gotta whip out the MS Paint. So basically, this is gonna be awful. I'm terrible at drawing. So for your pelvic bone, where you've got kind of, this vague shape where, your legs come down like so. And then you've got your spine that kind of okay, that's just awful. Yeah, something kind of like this. Don't ask why the vertebrae are so absolutely screwy. But okay, you know what? It gets a hat. I guess that's not what I was meaning to do. But for me, it is like where my pain is located is oops, not there. Right there. Right at that connection, right above my pelvis. Which means because whatever the problem is, whether it is the stiff man syndrome or not, whatever is causing this is affecting my spinal column, which means from here the pain goes right down everywhere else. Thankfully, it hasn't migrated up my body. I pray it never does. So that's like the pain, the spasms, because that is what I generally deal with is muscle spasms, severe pain. Sometimes my legs will just stop working. They'll just give out spontaneously, no warning. All that sort of fun. And that kind of leaves me so having that part of the issue I run into and my main reason for even talking about this because again, some of you guys I'm not even scrolling out, I'm scrolling down. Oop, too far. Because some of you guys have expressed concern about me, and again, I really appreciate that, Leonard and Tsubaki. So let's say that is okay. Hold on. I want the white. That's easier to see. So let's say right here is where your average Joe Schmo is in regards to your day to day. Not goodbye Lily. Like lack of pain, I guess. So that's where most people are, and then for me, it goes down, and then it'll plateau for a bit. I need to, if I'm gonna do this example correctly. Oh dear, I forgot to set this to black background, but I'll make do. So then it plateaus, and then it'll go down again. It's a gradual. It's not like just a straight, straight down, up, I'm screwed. But it goes down at a gradual, and then it plateaus again. And it continues. It's been a pattern for the last 6 years. And so what happened last week, and it's happened a bit. These instances of going down. Ooh, jeez. Oh, there's a dead spot on my mouse pad. Okay, that's why. These kind of drops after a plateau, they can take a bit. The plateaus are usually months.
But the drops, those can be anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And then that becomes, to use the old phrase, my new normal. And that's just unfortunately how it's going to keep going until we get a proper diagnosis. Because my rheumatologist believes that it is one of two things: either the stiff man syndrome, which she is most inclined, and her reason for that is she has personal experience with it. Not she has it, but she's worked with patients who have it. And if that is what it is, there is no cure, at least not right now. The problem is trying to get a diagnosis. And the closest place that can do the specialized testing is the Mayo Clinic. And unfortunately, they don't take my insurance. And they are obscenely expensive. So that's not happening. But what we're trying to do in the meantime is do the tests that they would do normally independently, instead of doing them all together with the same, at the same clinic, same day. We're having to do each one at like different locations and kind of try and parse them and slap them together and get them off to a specialist, an even more specialized specialist, to go over and say, is it this or is it not? Is it the stiff man syndrome or is it something else? Because the only alternative we can figure is spinal psoriatic arthritis, which is very rare for someone my age. But it is a possibility. And unfortunately, because of how hard that is to diagnose, the only alternative would be to go into my spine here, take a knife and just kind of get on in there. That's a horrible knife, but just basically I would have to undergo a risky surgery to have them literally cut into my back, go in there and see, are we finding the sort of tissue that you find with someone who has psoriatic arthritis? Are we finding the additional tissue growth and so on? Yeah, but hi Leonard. Yeah, no, it's not a pleasant thought for me either. So we're holding off on that until we are sure about the stiff man syndrome. Because, well, as my rheumatologist put it, and I really appreciate her, she's a very wonderful woman. The risk is, if it is in fact psoriatic arthritis, carving into someone's spine causes scar tissue. Carving into anyone causes scar tissue. So if my nope, black is not going to show up. So, say this is the inside of my vertebrae. If there is already, inflammation constricting the spinal column, and they just dig on in there, well, guess what? Now it's even smaller. Now it's even more constricted. which means even worse problems. So it's not ideal. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take not having that risk unless absolutely necessary. But yeah, no, this all of this stuff has actually put me on a lot of medication I wish I didn't have to take. I'm again, this is all for the sake of clarity. I'm on prescription opiates. I'm on, some heavy painkillers. Not the heaviest. I'm on a light opiate. It's called tramadol. It's definitely not the worst of those, but well, a combination of my great uncle before he passed got addicted to heavy medical grade painkillers because his doctor that got him on those was a hack and basically just threw medication at him until he was too drugged up to know any better. And I don't want that for me. But also my doctor, who is a wonderful guy, my general practitioner. I've got several doctors. He has also flat out said, fairly early on even, he basically sat me down and he goes, okay, Malum, I want to make this clear. I could justify medically putting you on something much, much stronger to help you function. The downside is that puts you at an even greater risk of opiate addiction, and the last thing you need at your age is an opiate addiction on top of all the other crap you're dealing with, because it won't solve anything. It'll just make you feel a bit better. So, it's like, yeah, I'll take the pain being lessened and not removed if it means I don't become, like, some sort of vegetable hooked on that stuff. I'll take it. But then I'm on nerve blockers, muscle relaxers. Let's see, what else was there? I'm having to run through a mental list. One of the other big things, my most recent medication I've been put on, thankfully, it's not a pill or like a little liquid I have to drink with water or something. It's an injectable, kind of like an EpiPen. The downside of it is there is a very minor risk of kidney failure, but I'm getting blood work every 6 months. I think I'm actually due for my next blood work. But what that one is, it's called, I'm not even going to try to spell it. I have a hard enough time pronouncing it. It's called adalimumab adaz. For all of these Latin named prescriptions and medications, I got stuck with the one that sounds like the name of some tiny town out in the Middle East. But what that is it's an immunosuppressant. It's literally, I am injecting myself every other week with a medication that just tells my immune system, chill. Which is nice. It has actually helped a fair bit. It's a rare moment where, back down here at the bottom of my graph, I got to have a little, hey, I get to go up a little, and then plateau, and then go back down. It's 2 steps, I guess in my case, it's 2 steps backwards, 1 step forwards. Forwards would be less pain. And so while I'm absolutely, I'm thrilled that it's working, the downside is it's an immunosuppressant. So I have to be very careful when I go out and about, and I was told flat out by both of my doctors, different points, but they both said almost the exact same thing. They just said, okay, but if you start feeling sick and it lingers for more than like a day, get in to see a doctor. It doesn't matter if you think you'll be fine, see a doctor, because you're at that much greater risk of it being much worse. Thankfully, haven't had to do that. Combination of I've got a good immune system, well, aside from what we assume is the part of it attacking my spine, but also not like I get out much. I'm a cripple, man. But thankfully, I do also. There is a medication. It's an over the counter, but it's an immuno boost that I take whenever I'm starting to feel a little and that seems to have helped. But where this has left me currently is not the most ideal of circumstances. Given that I live out in the sticks, yeah, if I want to get anywhere, I have to drive. You know what I can't do anymore? Drive. Because I was basically, well, I haven't been technically told I can't drive, not legally speaking at least. I have been very strongly advised not to. Which I agree. Because since my leg will, well, legs, either or, will lock up, and just kinda, instead of having, you know, you got your leg, you got your knee here, where sometimes it'll just go, my leg will just straighten out, and there's nothing I could do about it. The only successful thing I've done is put something heavy on my leg, or like try and pin it against a wall or something, and obviously trying very hard not to break my leg, just kind of use force to shift it down until it cooperates. But I had that happen. I was out on a riding mower. Thankfully, I wasn't driving a car. Well, I was driving. I wasn't driving a car. But oh, this is a horrible time for an ad break. Well, I'm gonna keep recording. If you're stuck with the ad, I can't disable it right now. I apologize. You missed the... Oh, you missed the first part? No worries, Leonard. How long is this? 6 years. I first ran it... Well, I've had pain in my back for as long as I can remember. It's just gradually gotten worse. I had a wave of this be really bad back in 2014. But after a while, it cleared up. And so what we thought was that it was a bulging disc. And that's just kind of the assumption we went with. But of course, then they didn't know about things like stiff man syndrome. Again, assuming that is what it is. I don't have an official diagnosis yet. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, because if I can, then maybe I can actually get disability. Much as I don't want to. But yeah, about 6 years ago, back in 2019, it did just, you know, that was probably the second drop. No one expects early problems to be rare cases. True. Very true. And it didn't help, I was kind of whiny as a kid and as a teenager for, well, a few reasons. Some justified, some very not justified, some just me being your typical teenager. So we didn't know how seriously to take it whenever I complained about my back hurting. And, well, a lot of my family have their own back problems, just for various, like, not even directly medical problems, just like, my grandfather, he was Green Beret in the army back in Vietnam. He worked, after he got out of the military, he spent most of his life doing construction work. So, yeah, he kind of developed some back problems. My grandmother has just a bad back in general. My mom has back issues. And I don't diddly squat about my paternal side. But, so I just kind of assumed it was normal until, well, it was decidedly not. But yeah, I was good from 2017, or not 2017, 2015, 16, give or take. Got things kind of stabilized, and then 2019, that's when it really kicked off. And so the last 6 years have just been bouncing from one doctor to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Getting ping-ponged all over multiple states, trying to see different specialists, and yada yada yada. And so, yeah, now we're still trying to get forward progression, but yeah, we're having to do it piecemeal. Which, I mean, hey, I'll take... Progress is progress, regardless of how slow. But yeah, I mean, it was bad. I want to say I stopped being able to drive outside of like explicit emergencies in 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. Before then, I was able to drive myself, but then, actually, you know what? I never actually finished that story. I got sidetracked by the sudden ad notification. So I was out on a riding mower, just, trying to help out as best I could. Since my grandparents technically own my apartment. Well, no, technically, they own my apartment. So I was trying to help as best I could, since, well, rent was kind of an issue when I wasn't able to work. And I ended up, well, my leg locked up. It did this. Somehow I managed to not circle it. There. This thing, where it just locked straight out, like I had a peg leg, and that doesn't look like a good thing. It was not a good thing. So my leg locked onto the gas pedal, and I couldn't get it off. So, thankfully, I had to physically pry my leg off, after a lot of effort, off the gas pedal to get the lawnmower to finally stop, and that's when I just said, okay, this was bad on a lawnmower. I don't want this to happen in a car. Because either I'm not going anywhere, or I'm not stopping. And I don't want to get to know a tree intimately, or another vehicle, or anything for that matter while I'm driving. So, I haven't been able to drive for ages. And then, as time has progressed, granted this was years ago now, I've actually had to have a mobility aid, as they call it technically. No, I've got one of those medical cane things with like the 4 little nubby bits. Just because that at least keeps it from falling over. So yeah, it's like, yeah, I get to walk around with the stupid cane because, well, it's more to keep me upright than anything. You know, the car needs gas. I think it wanted more. Something. My leg just said, no, I want to keep going. Let's go, let's go. Yeah, no. I don't want to do that. I've had one I've had one instance, that was before a lot of this kicked off, that I almost got to know a tree very well, and that's because I hit a patch of black ice and started Tokyo drifting around a back road. Not a pleasant day. I'm thankful no one else was coming around that corner. That was, no. At least if that happened, I could say that was due to extenuating circumstances. I don't have that excuse if my leg decides to lock up and floor it. So, that's basically where I'm at as far as my health goes. It's still, I've got an appointment with a new neurologist at the end of January, in about a month. Almost to the day, wow. So, when I get into that, I'm going to be just kind of going through the usual first time appointment, but at least the advantage there is, ignore me smacking that. Why is there a knife near my spine? Oh, I'm glad you actually recognize that as a spine, or as a knife as a spine. Okay. That is a possible, I was trying to give a visual. Depending on how testing goes in the future, I might actually have to have surgery on my spine to see if I have psoriatic arthritis. And we're trying to avoid that, but that is a very distinct possibility. So, yeah, just kind of with everything going on. Oh, right. Yeah, the neurologist, thankfully, is not only part of the same group, but is actually in the exact same building as my rheumatologist. So they'll be able to work together and try and figure things out. Because currently, the next step we're going to take is a, was it an EKG or an EMG? Some sort of, it's an electro something or other graph. Or gram. They're gonna scan me. They're gonna scan my spine. Yes, my spine looks like the knife looks like a spine. You know, with my lack of artistic skill, that wouldn't surprise me. But, yeah, it's just kinda throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. My big thing. Oh, hey, Leonard, thank you for gifting the tier 1 to Tsubaki. But yeah, that's largely where it is. It's just been, well, like I said, throwing things at a wall to see what sticks. I'm just thankful I've got the doctors I have now because they're competent and they actually give a crap. I had one time I had to go on a very long drive. Obviously, someone else was driving me. To go see a rheumatologist. And I was in and out in about 5 minutes. She walked in the room, looked at me, and said, "Oh, you're just overweight. You need to lose weight. Bye." I had been sent in there for something called Wegener's granulomatosis, which is, I don't remember all of that. It's just another scary sounding autoimmune. Was Mayo crossed out? Oh, my doctors want to send me to the Mayo Clinic, but the Mayo Clinic does not take my insurance. So that's unfortunately not on the table. But yeah, no, that I went in there. She comes in. She goes, "Oh yeah, it was a false positive. just lose some weight. And I'm like, what? Lady, when this all kicked off, I was like 100 pounds lighter. Not quite that. I wasn't quite that overweight. I've never hit 300, and I don't intend to. Thought I was talking about mayonnaise. No, thankfully mayonnaise has nothing to do with my health. Well, not unless I start chugging buckets of it. Then I'll be able to blame it for, like, diabetes or something. I don't want to go that route. I don't want diabetes. My blood sugar is actually very well. Or is at a very good level. Yeah, no, the only reason I weigh as much as I do right now, which I don't actually remember, I think I'm around 285, somewhere in that vicinity. I'm working at it. The big issue I run into is not being able to move around a lot because, well, yeah, fun fact, when your spine is screwy, it makes it difficult to function. So that's part of why I move around a lot. Like, you see, I get all, like, wiggly. I go up and down and so on and so forth. It's literally just because it hurts to sit for extended periods. It also hurts to stand for very long. It hurts to lay down for very long, which makes sleeping very difficult. Which is the main reason I get so tired, is just because my spine decides, hey, you know that thing you've got a machine to help you do? You know, sleep? Let's not do that. If whatever is causing my health issues was a person, I would throttle it. I don't care what the person is, what they look like, man, woman, whatever. If it was a person, I would do horrible things that I cannot say on Twitch to it. Sadly, that's not an option. But, yeah, it just kind of puts me in a difficult situation. Because it makes exercising hard. That's why I've got one of those little under-the-desk ellipticals. Otherwise, I'll be in jail. If it meant not having to deal with my health issues anymore, I would take it. I would take the prison sentence. But, like, my upper body, fine. I can do a fair few exercises with my upper body. The downside being, well, because it's, again, you know, the pain is localized. I'll mark it in yellow this time. Because it's right there, it makes it a little difficult to do a lot of exercises. Core exercises like sit-ups, crunches, whatever, not happening. Those are actually painful. Like, actually physically very painful. It also means I can't do, like, push-ups because my back just doesn't have the strength down there, so I end up just kind of pushing my upper body up and down, and then that just makes it angry. So it's been a learning curve. Yeah, one thing I will say is that there has been some good that's come out of it, which is weird to say, but it's given me a different perspective. You know, it's one thing to just see people who have disabilities. Anything below the waist is bad when I exercise. Yes and no. It depends on what it is. Anything that puts any, like, strain right around there is very bad. I can do things like I've got an under-the-desk elliptical that I try to use. That's no problem. That doesn't cause issues. But if I'm doing, like, I don't know, if I want to go for a jog, that's not happening. If I'll make it about 2 steps and then I'm gonna be I'm gonna get a real up close and personal look at the floor. And it also depends on the day because, well, sometimes the hour. Sometimes, yeah, it's no problem. I can function relatively normal. Other times, I'm shuffling around like a geriatric man. And unfortunately, there's never any wake up or any I don't know why I was gonna say wake up call. There's never any indication of when it's gonna kick in. It just does. It's got a mind of its own, and that mind is just a big middle finger to me. But, I do my best to function as much as I can. But unfortunately, it also means working a normal job, not on your life. Because, I mean, you see how distracted I am normally. It takes so long to do some tasks. It makes me. I miss being able to do a lot of things a lot of people take for granted. Like, I have to be very careful just bending over. Because there's always the chance that my back will decide to say, hey, screw you! Oh, and I won't be able to get back up without some help. Or, if I want to move things around, I have to be very careful. Even the dishes can be very difficult because if I let them pile up too much, that's going to be a full day of doing nothing but dishes because I'll be up for a few minutes, then I'll be down to let my back recover. Then I'll be up for a few minutes, do a couple more, then I have to sit back down and repeat. But yeah, that's just kind of where I am. I've learned to live with it. It's frustrating, sure, just because I know what I've lost. That's part of the reason I was in therapy for so long. It took ages to realize that I was still mourning what I've lost. But, like, working from home for clerical work, I would have to be something very obscure and incredibly specific. Because, how to put it? The reason I can have so much trouble, why I'm so easily distracted, why I kinda just go all over the place when I'm doing things in game, in games and whatnot, even right now, as I'm just yapping. It's because I never had this problem before all of this really kicked off. I like to call it pain DHD because it's hard to focus on things when you're hurting. And it's that constant search for something to further distract from the aforementioned pain. So, like, trying to do anything that requires a good bit of brain power, just for me, off stream, it can take ages. To say nothing of, again, like, physical stuff that just takes so much longer than it should for your average Joe. It can be rough sometimes. I won't deny that. It's, frustrating. It's, well, I'm trying to think of the good word. Depressing, honestly. Because I used to be able to do a lot of this stuff no problem. I used to be a lot more physical than I am now. I used to be able to lift more. I used to go for, like, I used to go for 2 mile walks every day. I can't do that anymore. I'm not to the point of needing a wheelchair, thankfully, and I hope and I pray I never will be. But even in spite of that, I will say I have it has given me a different perspective. I have seen even more of, I guess, the best and worst of people. I've had times where, like, I'm at the grocery store. I drop something, I go to pick it up, and sometimes no one will do anything. That's fine. Sometimes I'll get some outright disgusted looks from people who very clearly look at me and say, "There's nothing." And I mean, I've heard similar comments too, but you know, the general sentiment of, "Oh, he's young. We don't see anything physically wrong with him, so he must be just doing this for sympathy or whatever." But then on the flip side, I've also experienced some very genuine and kind people who see that I'm struggling and are just like, "Oh, here, let me help you, let me give you a hand." Things like that, which I appreciate. And on the flip side, I have also experienced people who are clearly only doing it because, "Oh, look at me. I'm so nice for helping this poor man. Aren't I so great? You poor thing." Those people drive me nuts more than the people who are just openly disgusted. Ugh. I wish I could say those kinds of people were only on, like, Twitter. But at the same time, I've had people who just have done genuine acts of kindness, and it restores some semblance of faith in humanity. Especially for someone like me who is very chronically online, being able to see people out there in the real world being kind, decent human beings, it kind of chases away the black pill. But yeah, that's basically where I am. You know, the good, the bad. I am definitely very glad. I'm thankful to the streamers that I watched that kind of inspired me to want to try streaming, to want to try being a VTuber, because I wouldn't want to be a flesh streamer. I do not have the confidence in my appearance. So I was like, I just, but you know, getting, setting this up for free. Thank you. Oh, what was it called? It was crap. I'm horrible with names. VTuber editor, VTuber maker, some of those programs. Thank you for having these options for free. Maybe one day I would like to pay for a better 2D model, preferably one that doesn't constantly assume I'm in a state of shock. Oh, sure. Now when I want to do it for comedic effect, you don't do it. I see. But it's been nice. I'm thankful to like Tenma Miami, Kirsha Verstal, for kind of giving me the confidence to want to do this. Even my own VTuber model is against me. Don't remind me. The amount of times this thing breaks. Yes, I'm talking to you on my other monitor. But no, I enjoy it.
it's been fun. I've gotten to meet a couple people. I am still amazed that I've even got as many of you watching as I do. I mean, assuming it's accurate, because Twitch just really likes to screw the lurkers over and the people using ad block. I don't even know if it's accurate right now, but like it's showing I've got 5 people. I appreciate each and every one of you. I didn't, I figured. Oh, never mind. It went up to 6. I appreciate you guys for being here because most people, because I only started this in March. Most people are lucky if they get 1 or 2, and there's people who have been streaming for years who are lucky if they get 3 or 4. But I've only been streaming since March. I got you guys here, and I really appreciate it. It makes there is the I want to phrase this well. Because I started doing this more, not more. I started doing this because I wanted to feel like I was doing something. I've always been the type of person who I want some sense of accomplishment. I want to do things. I want to do something. I've got to be doing something. And this has very much helped with that. It very much feels like, hey, I'm actually accomplishing something. And sure, I would absolutely love to, maybe, God willing, someday be able to do this as a, something akin to a career. It would be nice. I don't expect it. I'm not some new hot thing. I'm not the next Iron Mouse, Henya the Genius, Smuggle on a Pippa, whatever. I'm not the next of any of those. I don't think I am. I won't pretend to be. I'm just me. And, I'm honest. I'm guessing those are... No, that was a graph from earlier. Oh, stairs are a no-go. Most stairs, at least. But, it's done a lot for my own mental health to not only feel like I'm actually doing something with my life instead of just sitting at home watching YouTube and playing video games, wallowing in misery and self-pity. It's nice. It has done a lot for my own mental health and well-being. So, I appreciate you guys. I know I say that a lot, but I'm saying it again because we're talking about health. It has done wonders for my own mental health. To a degree that I might actually be out of counseling relatively soon. I'm finally at a point where I have hope things will get better. I'm largely content with where I am now. And I'm doing much better at not blaming myself for all of this, because that's a very easy thing to do. The what if game. What if I had done this or that or the other thing differently? Could I have maybe avoided, these health issues? Which, realistically, no, there isn't. But getting to that point has been a journey, and I appreciate you guys for contributing to that, for helping me to get to this point. So, yeah, I'm mentally, my mental health is going up while my physical health is slowly going down. Hopefully, in the next year or so,
will be able to effectively stabilize, because I've basically been told between the stiff man syndrome and the psoriatic arthritis, whatever, if we can at least get me a proper diagnosis, neither of those are things that can be cured, but they can at least help me have a better a better I almost said life expectancy. I'm not dying. That's not the appropriate term at all. Crap, what was it? A better I would be able to do more, to function better. I would be able to quality of life. Thank you, Leonard. Yes, better quality of life. I very likely will not ever be able to re-enter the workforce, but, I'll take what I can get. It took some very specialized physical therapy to get me to a point where I could actually walk like a normal person, mostly. And there's nothing more that it can do for me, but yeah, turns out water-based physical therapy is actually really good for back problems. Who knew? I do now. But yeah, so with all of that said, I'm just gonna start rambling in circles at this point. But yeah, that's where it is. There are some other like minor issues I deal with, but those are all just kind of relating to everything else. And it's, it is what it is. But I'm alive. Things are slowly looking up. And yeah. So, there was something else I was gonna say, and I totally lost what it was. I'm doing good at that these days. But, yeah, if nothing else, I could say I'm thankful that I was always nerdy and geeky growing up. If I had been some musclehead, I wouldn't know what to do with my life. But at least I can say, hey, I got lots of games. I got things I can do to distract myself. And now I got you guys to enjoy them with me. So, I'm gonna say it again. Thank you guys. Really. And, yeah. I guess it is Christmas Eve. So, have a Merry Christmas. Hope you have wonderful time with your families. And hope you get some nice things that, whether sentimental or financially nice, and just have a wonderful Christmas. I can't wish anyone a happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah ended a couple days ago, and I know absolutely nothing about Kwanzaa. I don't even know when it is. So, Merry Christmas, everyone, from your local Jew. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Leonard. Oh, I don't know if that's showing up for you guys. I didn't know I had that turned on. I Twitch trying their hardest to make me out to be some money-grubbing scumbag. Dagnabbit, Twitch. I only go diving for pennies at the mall. Hey, if they didn't want someone to take them, they wouldn't throw them in the fountain, okay? They're not making more pennies. Those are collector's items now. I was gonna say don't get mad at me, Twitch, but Twitch isn't the fondest of Jews like me, so they won't care. Oh, come on, that's all you have to do. You need me to do something? There you go, Malum. There's a nickel. Go get it, boy. A nickel? Where? Oh, jeez, I almost threw myself out of my chair. Okay, I need to stop with that. I'm not Fillion. I'm gonna screw up my spine more than it already is. Okay, I got that out of my system. So yeah, no, with all of this, I hope it makes it a bit more clear why I say things like take care of your spines. Because mine's all kinds of screwy. And if nothing else, yes, this will come off as a bit self-deprecating. And this is an instance I'll say I have good reason for it. If you're ever feeling down about yourselves, like really bad, remember there's a crippled Jew or a crippled Jewish VTuber who is very poor. I shouldn't say it that way. That makes it. Yeah, I'm just, it is what it is. And he has hope for the future. If he, with all of these debuffs, all these things working against him, can have some hope for the future, maybe life isn't quite so bad. It could always be worse. So, if it helps, it helps. I have compared myself to a fair few lol cows on the internet and said, well, could be worse. At least I'm not Chris Chan. Granted, that's a very low bar, but hey, it helps sometimes. But yeah, have a Merry Christmas. And, well, I won't say have a Happy New Year because that's not until next week. And I'm gonna have several streams before then, so I don't know, I guess I'll say it anyways. Happy New Year. Alright, I'm gonna shut up now. Let's see. Who is online? Let's see. Oh. You know what? I think... oh, nope. Okay, I can't raid into her. Okay. Well, that kind of takes the wind out of my sails. Alright, who else is on? Well, raid into the Bagman. He is watching Christmas stuff. So, alright. You guys have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful Christmas with your friends, family, whoever, the homeless guy under the bridge, whoever you're spending your Christmas with. And I hope to catch you guys on Friday. Have a good night. You have a wonderful night as well, Leonard. And I hope to catch you guys on Friday. So, until then, have a wonderful evening. And a Merry Christmas.